Hey, Pete.
Hey, Kat.
I know I promised that I wouldn't bring anything controversial to the podcast,
No, that's not the cat I know.
but I feel like we need to talk about the elephant in the room. It's not me. There is.
I was not suggesting it was.
It looked funny.
I'm just looking around for the elephant.
There is this growing tension in the industry about the great unbundling of CRM. 10, 15 years ago, we were sold what I would call a utopia, where sales, service, marketing, partners was all going to be done on one platform with this one data model, single source of truth, customer 360, and magically customers were going to have this incredible experience. But I feel like what a lot of organizations were left with was an overpriced Rolodex and a great looking app. But somewhere along the way, the customer kind of got forgotten in that story.
I don't know if the customer got forgotten, but they're certainly not getting the experience that was promised. And so I think there was a lot of work done around customer journeys, and so the front side of how I sell and create the experience, I think we solved for. But the little part of the end when things fall off, somewhere I think in the line we lost that. And so this sort of, and this is where customer experience does get hard because they're generally the moments of impact, the moments, or we might call moments that matter for customers, really. So I think for me, that's that little moment there, those sort of service elements. That's where things are really unstuck at the moment. But weren't you just presenting about this topic recently?
I was. Oh. Funnily, you should say that.
Okay.
I was presenting on our customer service research that we do every year for Australia and New Zealand, which is a great piece of research. Just over 1,000 customers and customer service agents and customers from across the region are interviewed around what we call the service gap.
Okay.
And I think there's a lot of data points that came out of it. And if anyone wants to access it, it's available on the internet for free. But the one data point that I always keep coming back to is when we ask customer service agents across the industry how long they think it takes them to serve a customer, they say 30 minutes. We ask the same question to the customers they serve, and they believe it's 5.2 days. So there is
that's a big gap of expectation.
Full working business week of time in there between what the organization believes it's doing versus what customers are actually experiencing.
And we do know in the stats, like it's 5 times to 10 times more expensive to gain new customers than what it is to maintain existing customers. So you'd be thinking we'd be trying to focus on, hey, if I've got this loyalty and I've got this brand and I've got all these people, like I should be pouring effort into maintaining that because we know the cost to gain new ones is so much more expensive.
And I think the effort was poured into it, but it was almost like at a surface level. Like, let's create an incredible experience from a user interface perspective for a customer. Yeah. So a great website, a great app, there's probably multiple of them. Yeah. And, as a customer, I've got a really great experience when I go in and ask for help. But where I think the industry fell short is that the way that the customer views help is not how quickly did I log my issue.
No.
It's how quickly did it take you to resolve it.
Just if you made a promise, then how did you deliver on that expectation? And so sometimes you won't solve it in the first part because it's going to take some effort and energy to work through it. But the ability to go, hey, I know who you are, know potentially why you're calling, and bring that information and then be able to go, hey, Kat, I appreciate your loyalty. Here's what we're going to do for you in the short term. I'll get back to you within the next period, and then deliver on that shifts. But if you don't do that, customers will walk really quickly.
So I had an experience a couple of months ago.
Oh, please share.
Oh, it was a big one, Pete. Saturday evening, the Wi-Fi went out.
You got teenagers though, haven't you?
Yeah.
That's not going to be fun at home.
And Simon really likes his PlayStation. Oh. So this is a Sev 1 incident in the Reed household.
Absolutely.
And
most households these days, to be
fair.
As
you know, I work from home a lot.
Yep.
So Saturday night it went out. And in my mind, great, I've got till Monday, 7 a.m. before I'm losing my mind and I have to start work. And left it overnight, woke up Sunday, logged a ticket, didn't log a ticket, opened up a virtual agent chat with my telco provider. And for people that don't know me, I am a very brand loyalist. Like, I'm truly passionate about Australian, New Zealand companies. Yeah. And so when I'm a customer of one, I don't churn easily. And so I've been with my telco provider for 20 years and I always approach it with, I want to help you solve my issue so we don't have an issue. So Sunday morning, I opened up the virtual agent because I love to self-serve and started having that
Well,
conversation.
it's probably the convenience at the time too. To do it.
100%.
Yeah,
I'm
correct.
making coffee and taking kids to basketball.
Yeah,
I don't have
correct.
time to sit on hold.
Cool. Yeah.
So I'm interacting with this virtual agent and I'm noticing very quickly that it's clearly not a human because the language is kind of weird. I wrote a comment saying the light on the front of the modem is yellow, and the virtual agent asked me to confirm, and this is the exact language that's used.
Oh, this will be good.
Please confirm I should update the name of the color to yellow. Like it wanted me to help it fill out a form in a table.
Yeah, understanding on point.
So at some point in this weird interaction, I got put through to a human, and he was lovely, but he doesn't know me from a bar of soap.
No.
Now, anyone that knows me knows I've been a technologist for 25 years. I know a few things about technology. I built the world's first 8-node and 32-node cluster databases before the cloud existed. That is my claim to fame, and I'm still living on it.
There we go.
So I know how a modem works, right? They don't know that. And I understand that. So we're going to go through the play sheet, right?
Yeah, okay. Well, so
have you connected it to power?
Yeah, correct.
Have you switched it off and back on? I patiently went through all these silly checks. I knew within a minutes of this incident happening that I needed a new modem. It was very clear the modem was now faulty. And I told them that, but they had to go through their checklist. I'm okay with that. They then let me know they had to go and do some checks on their end. Great. Go do your tests. I've got things to do. Monday morning, hadn't heard from them.
Yeah, so
opened up the virtual agent, said, hey, what's going on? Oh, got a new ticket number.
You get another ticket number for the same job.
Great question, Pete.
Yeah.
Next question I get, have you tried turning it back off and on?
We're back at the start again.
So this went on for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then they said, we're going to do more tests. I'm like, great, you do your tests. I'm just waiting here.
Yeah.
Tuesday morning hits. I still don't have Wi-Fi. My kids are hanging off the walls. My husband's getting grumpy and work's calling me saying, why aren't you? Well, that's not true. I am online. I'm using 5G. Let's be honest.
Hotspot everywhere.
Not a great experience. No. So by Tuesday morning, I get back onto them. They're still making me go through all these checks. I thought I was pretty patient, but by day 3, I jumped on Google.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, jumped on the Google. I said, I'm sitting there going, I've given you enough. Jumped on the Google. Within 30 minutes, I'd switched providers. I jumped on Amazon, ordered the new modem. It arrived next day.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, even though I had switched contracts, so my NBN had been switched over to a new company, my previous provider was still trying to resolve this issue and let me know that the modem was in the mail. And that arrived 7 days after the incident.
Brilliant. Now you got 2.
So my point of the story, as a customer who comes to this situation from a position of I want to stay, it was going to take me 7 days to stay loyal, 30 minutes to switch.
Yeah.
So how do you create customer loyalty in an environment where there is so much friction and you make it so hard for them to stay loyal? And I will also add that at no point was this a decision to save money, because my new provider, I'm actually paying triple, but I'm getting 4 times the speed.
Yeah.
And I often, organizations often say to me, well, we get it. Customers are going to go for the better offer. It's like, yeah, but there are customers like me who can always make more money but can't save more time. I can't buy more time.
No. What if it was only 3 days, but they delivered on their promise, which was, hey, we understand. Hey, Kat, we thank you for your loyalty. So if they'd been able to connect all of those things together for you in a period of time, the fact that each day you rang, you weren't having to raise a new ticket. Well, actually, why were you ringing? They should have been contacting you. Hey, this is what we're doing. This is what we know. Would you have stayed?
Within 3 days, absolutely. Yeah. But here's the irony. I'm still a customer. I've still got 2 mobile phones with them, right? And no other part of their business is aware that we've now churned on one product and we're at risk of churning on the others.
Yeah, correct. So I think, if they'd brought that information together so that person knew it wasn't just one service you have a breadth of services, you have a breadth of tenure and this loyalty, then you could give that person a completely different perspective on who you are and the value to the organization. And that's the thing that's largely been lost, because we've created all these, we sort of talk about giving employees like 17 different apps for doing work, and that's happened because each of the different functions that we have are put in beautiful new digital systems, but none of them are connected. And so the employee is sitting there going, all right, where do I get all of these things? It's a bit like your iPhone home screen. You look at it and go, all right, well, I'm not even sure I can work out which app to use anymore. So I just use the search bar and start typing in what I think I need, and it pulls up, the 3 things that look like what I'm talking about.
And so we come back to this concept of unbundling, because I think the industry as a whole and a lot of organizations are coming to the realization that knowing who your customer is table stakes. Like if you can't do that, you don't have a ticket to play.
Correct.
Don't even bother showing up.
Yeah.
Having a great user experience at the front end, everyone kind of has that now. There's no competitive differentiator there.
Well, I know we always talk about Uber and the Amazons, but Uber effectively just put a really smart front end over an existing service.
But coming back to the Uber model,
yeah,
you don't book an Uber because the app is so cool. You book an Uber because it's convenient,
Correct.
that it connects you to a driver and gets you to a car faster.
Yeah, it tells you where that car is, when it's going to pick you up, how long it's going to get to the destination, how much it's going to cost. So all this, hey, I don't know if they're coming, I don't know where they are, I don't know how much, all that stuff has gone away. Yeah. And all in the end, there's still a car that comes in, picks you up and takes you from A to B.
And it comes back to this concept that the new differentiator that organizations are going to be competing on is how quickly can you orchestrate. I mean, some people call it the messy middle, but all of the teams that are responsible for delivering on your customer value prop or your customer product or your customer service, how quickly and easily can you orchestrate them and do it better, faster, smarter, whether it's through automation, whether it's through AI, whether it's through workflow orchestration, having them all on one platform so that every team is connected and they're all laser focused on doing the one thing, and that is delivering on the customer expectation.
Correct. And I think, that team word, that it's not one part of the organization and generally having to solve it. Like it might drop down into one part at one point, but little ball bounces. But making sure that ball is connected through the thread back to why and the impact it's having to the individual, whether that's the employee or for the customer, that's the thing that's really important, because then that person in finance or that person in operations or that person in the service center knows the impact they're having. So in your example, they would have gone, oh my God, we've got Kat online. She's been a customer for 20 years. She's got 5 different products. We don't want to lose that. So what are we doing to get this service back right?
One of the greatest opportunities that I think we have at the table right now, when you have one platform that is enabling you to bring all these teams to the table, customer service doesn't become this standalone function. So you've got the platform that can help you orchestrate work and automate work for customer service, but that is tapped into the people that sit within sales ops that are helping you do order to cash faster. And that is tapped into the people in your field service team, so your field technicians, so that when they're going out on site, they know what job they're there to do and who the customer is, and they've got all the tools and information at their fingertips to get it done quicker, faster, and move on to the next job. Yeah. And when you've got all of these operational teams running on that common platform with the complete visibility of that end-to-end customer experience, that's when you really have the potential to do things differently.
Yeah, I think that transparency moment, being able to see all of those pieces together, knowing why and where that value has been contributed back to the customer. I think intrinsically people want to provide good service. All right. But we've just made it hard. And if we can take that burden away, we're really going to free up the capacity. So in these difficult moments, these challenging times in our lives where we have things that happen and you want to be able to ring an organization and go, hey, this just happened. I need it taken care of. And for the other person to go, hey, I've got you. We will solve this. Then I think that stuff is when you go, wow, you really understand what's going on.
The other thing that really excites me, if you think about all of the great experiences you've had, a lot of them came down to the employee in the organization that you were talking to knew their stuff.
Correct.
And that is not an easy thing to do, especially if you're in a business where you are constantly onboarding new employees or you have high turnover just because of the nature of the business. And in the past, the ability to onboard an employee but also keep them up to date and current with information meant that they were reading, manual documentation, or they're reading knowledge articles, or they're trawling websites to understand the products you sell or what they can do in certain situations. The way that generative AI and agentic AI is now being built into these platforms that allow you to orchestrate work mean that these employees who are fronting up to your customer are armed with a conversational interface that can get them access to all of that information without having to sit there and read knowledge articles.
Well, and I think what you get then is a higher level of consistency of service, because you're not leaving it down to interpretation of the written manual. I know the words are written in black and white, but often interpreted in gray. So I think it's like this, if we're able to systemize a lot of that knowledge and information, we can provide a much higher level of service at a much more consistent level, which then allows us actually organizations to grow and scale, because the knowledge is sitting there and we're allowing people to get off and do that high value, high touch work that is required in those really important moments that matter. to people.
And then you take all of that conversational access to knowledge, open it up to the customers themselves.
That's correct.
And that amplified level of self-service. I mean, this
Those
event,
convenient times, I can be at 2 a.m. or basketball training or the glass of wine at dinner, those things, I can get the things done that I need in a really simple way.
at this event that I was at the other day, David that spoke before me on stage, he was fabulous, very high energy, but
just like this.
Absolutely. No, much better. But he cracked a joke, but it sits with me because I'm like, that sums it up perfectly. Yeah. He's like, I know I can't get a haircut at 2 a.m., but I might want to book one for the next day. Yeah, and I'm like, that to me sums up customer service. Yeah. No customer expects you to bend over backwards at weird hours of the day to do unnatural things. But there are certain levels of things that we should be able to do self-serve at a time that is convenient for us.
Yeah, and those simple things, technology exists, like I know we talk about the virtual agent experience, but the big challenge with virtual agents today is the high level of training that's required versus the Gen AI enabled agents that exist today. Completely different. They've got these large language models sitting behind them and these very domain specific models sitting behind them, for all intents and purposes, understand what you're asking for. And you can ask for it in multiple different ways and it will prompt back to ask you, is this what you meant? So you get a conversation that starts to make a real difference rather than, virtual agents, a bit like teenagers. When they're not fed and they haven't slept, you get really weird answers.
I've never starved my kids and kept
I don't starve them, but we do get hungry at occasionally times.
Hangry.
It's hangry. Yeah, hangry. I get that too occasionally.
I've noticed.
Thanks.
The other thing that I think really excites me is, a lot of organizations are looking at the impact of AI and is it going to take jobs? Is it going to allow us to cut headcount? Are we going to take cost out of the business? That sort of narrative.
Yeah.
But what excites me more is the organizations that are coming to the table and saying, hey, we can create capacity in the people that front up to our customers so that they can be there in the moments that matter.
Yep.
And I know I've told you this story before because you're Mr. X Qantas and you love hearing Qantas stories.
I do.
But I tell this because Qantas is one of those brands that I have been loyal to for a long time. But there was a moment that mattered for me and I will probably be loyal for life because of it, where, we were booked to take our young kids at that time on their first international holiday. And we were booked on Qantas and another airline. And we had a death in the family the day before we were due to leave. So a really challenging situation for us. And I jumped on the phone and I spoke to this wonderful lady at Qantas. And I remember the words she used. She's like, Katrina, you need to be there for your family. Do not worry about any of this. We will sort this out for you. We will call the other airline and we will get this sorted. Yeah. Leave this with us. Go and be with your family. And that was it, right? And they did exactly what they promised they would do. And for me, that's the moments that matter. So what excites me about generative AI and agentic AI and this ability to unlock levels of productivity we've never had before and create capacity in the system so that people can be there in those moments that matter on a very human level, that's going to elevate the customer experience. And let's face it, that's when we make the world work better for people.
Yeah. I think it's so true. I think this the benefits of what Gen AI, so this highly exciting and disruptive moment that we now find ourselves in this technology industry is, the ability to take this technology and free up the capacity. Because I haven't been to an organization that says, hey, I've got all the people I need to do all of the work I have in my organization. Even when I was running teams back in my day, everyone goes, we just need 5 more people. Well, actually, no, we're going to have to find. But this technology potentially unlocks frees up a lot of the capacity for me to go and do some of those other innovative things or take on those moments that matter in the service area and fix some of those problems that we weren't able to get to. So I am really excited about what the opportunity of this technology to change the way experience happens for customers, and really create meaningful impact times, allow me to get the service at the time when I need it.
We all know that people are the critical element of change management. And I feel like this is where all these elements start to come together. Because when in a past life, one of my many past lives, Pete, that you will never fully learn about. In one of my past lives, I was responsible for rolling out a CRM to a lot of countries around the world, 1,800 people. And the number one challenge was convincing people to learn how to use a clunky interface, to learn where to click, which forms to fill out, because we all know the value of a CRM or any customer type system is the quality of the data that's in there. And guess who has to put the data in there? Your people.
Yeah, correct.
And so the ability to convince them to be part of that journey. Whereas in the world now, where these systems are just integrated in the way they work each and every day, it's, in our case, it's the same platform that they use to get support for their day-to-day life and the way that they work within an organization. And having access to these very natural conversational interfaces to interact with the system and tell it to update a customer record or tell it to go and, invite a customer to a particular event, and the system just goes away and does that on your behalf. Right. I think that's going to drive greater levels of adoption in the customer service space that we haven't seen in the past.
Yeah, look, I was just thinking as you were talking about that, I remember watching my kids, like I still like the remote control to change the channel. My kids just talk to the TV. So that interface is...
I'm sorry, I can't get over the fact that you guys still use a TV.
Wow. What do you mean? It's powered to the internet. It's like a big iPad.
That's all we use.
Yeah. But literally they just have a conversation with a controller. Like they just press the microphone button and go, find me this particular show. I go start scrolling through the icons and stuff. So that change piece, I think, is still happening for lots of us. But I think when you see and you feel the ease of it, then that's when you'll take on the benefit. But I still think there's a gap of what we see in our personal lives versus what we see at an organizational level. And what I hope is that organizational level effort reduces as these things become simpler and easier for people to interact with.
That voice activated control can get you into a lot of trouble, because I'm pretty sure there's 27 teenage girls running around the state of Victoria that know my Apple password.
Amazing. Probably not a good outcome.
No. The security team is now going to be calling me saying, Kat, can we talk to you about your ServiceNow password and whether you've been
searching for an Apple?
So I think it's fair to say CRM isn't dead, but this concept that you're going to have one monolithic application to do it all probably is.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see that not just in CRM, but we're going to see that in a few other big systems as well, that you'll have really intelligent systems at an organizational level, whether that's in the customer space or in your finance or in your HR, but it's the bringing together of those pieces of information for the customer, both at the experience and the service component, is going to be the differentiator. And it's the platforms like ServiceNow that can bring and orchestrate that work in a seamless way is that it's going to stand out.
If we were to solve anything in the next 12 months, I think the number one thing for me, part of that customer service research that I was speaking about earlier, in 2024, Australians spent 123 million hours on hold across the country. And me being the value girl that I am, when I did the math,
I was going to say, what did that turn into?
$5.4 billion brain drain for the Australian economy.
Wow.
Imagine what we could do. That is the annual payroll for a mid-sized Fortune 500 company, just on hold. Yeah. Imagine what we could unlock in terms of the Australian economy and just productivity as a whole. Correct. If we can just halve the amount of times people are spending on call just trying to get help.
Reduce it by half in the next 12 months.
Imagine the problems we could solve.
Oh, could you imagine?
Oh, that could be a whole other podcast.
Correct.
Any final thoughts?
I like that final thought. Let's halve it in 12 months. But I think it's a fascinating time. The concept of needing customer information is not going to change, but can we use it at much more impactful moments? And so we can have a much higher level of consistent service that allows our organization to scale and be freed up from this burden. Yeah. Bring it on, I say.
Absolutely. Wrap up from me. I think we've got the system of record sorted.
Yep.
I think we've got some incredible experiences that people have built on the web, via mobile, on the Apple Watch and everything else in between. Let's try and solve this messy middle challenge. Correct. Let's find better ways of bringing the teams together that sit across the entire enterprise to just be laser focused on delivering on customer service or on customer expectation. And if you don't do it for your customers, if you don't do it for the $5.4 billion brain drain in the Australian economy, then do it for Kat.
Yeah.
Because I really don't want to spend any more time on hold.
All right, there's a new mantra, people. We're going to do it for Kat.
On that note, thanks, Pete.
Thanks, Kat. Always fun.